See, what we were discussing in the last class was about the basic understanding of your NLP, that it's meant for the natural language or the human language processing. And we have seen the various applications of NLP, which currently it's being used also in many sectors. And we gave you a list of chatbots suggested that you can go through and talk to these chatbots and see that which one is more effective, which one is able to tackle more issues cleverly, I should say. As if you talk, do you? I mean, main thing is that do you feel that you're talking to a human while talking to these chatbots? So you can actually go and try out them. And then we discussed about the two types of chatbots: the scripted one and the smart one. In the scripted one, we said that your question answers are programmed, that the chatbot knows what to answer only for a few questions. If he is unable to get that question, any one of those questions, then he will simply respond by maybe answering the same thing or giving a basic format of what he is supposed to display, at times the menu or something like that. He's been programmed accordingly. But the smart bots are more flexible and powerful because they are able to learn from every answer you're giving and every conversation which is happening with them. They are learning with time. So they are getting better and better with time. They are not scripted. Okay. So this is what I think we did till yesterday. I mean the last class. And then followed by that, we discussed about that what if I want my system to process human language, then what kinds of problems it can face. Because until unless you know the problems, we can't find a solution for that. So depending upon these problems, which we discussed a few, then based on these difficulties, the solution was developed. That okay, let us go in this manner so that things can be worked out. Okay. Out of that, the first issue was the multiple meanings of a word in English. Because we use a particular word in the form of an adjective, in the form of a noun, in the form of a verb, at times same word being used. So the various usage creates a confusion that you cannot really isolate one word to be meaning the same thing everywhere in English. Like this example we had discussed, that if it is red, then red can be a red car, red can be an allergic symbol, red can be the display of anger by somebody. Okay. So the usage is completely different. You cannot really correlate red with one meaning. So that's a problem for the machine, because then machine has to be given the meaning with the situation also. Right. So that's the trouble. Secondly, we discussed about a very, very important fact, that is the syntax and the semantics. Okay. Now, if you remember that we said syntax is any kind of a rule for a language. Like we say that, okay, an is an article which can be used before A, E, I, O, U starting words, right? Other than these words, we should be using the article A. That's a rule. It's a grammatical rule. Okay. There are certain rules for adverbs, for conjunctions, for nouns and all that, which we know. And these kind of rules are called as syntax. Any programming language also we have heard this term, rules. This is allowed, this is not allowed. Semicolon dena hai, idhar space dena hai, idhar indent dena hai. It's a rule. You have to follow that rule. Now, what happens in our English sometimes, that I might write a sentence which is syntactically correct, but has no meaning. Doesn't have a specific proper meaning. Even that becomes a problematic thing for the machine. Machine can generate a syntactically correct meaning, but it might not be emotionally correct, or it might not be conveying the same meaning at times. Or when a user is communicating, he might write something which is syntactically correct, so he is able to understand the syntax of it, but semantically he is not able to make a meaning out of it. Like I play with the wall. Now, why the hell should you play with the wall? It should be a ball. Or if I want to keep wall intact, then I would say that I play besides the wall, near the wall, something like that. Okay. technically the answer is, I mean, the statement is correct, but it is not conveying any proper meaning. So that is why when we talk about language translation, when we talk about systems doing language translation, there we have to make him understand all these things, that what is the rule of grammar and what sentences will make a meaning for you, what sentences are not making a meaning to you. All these things you have to teach him, what we have learned through the years and years, right? So that is, these are the kind of things which becomes difficult for the machine to work with. That was the part we did in the last class. And now we come down to the process which the machine follows. It's a very interesting process, let me tell you. And how exactly it comes down to a, uh, obviously we're not talking about a direct solution like that, but what are the steps it follows in understanding your language? Because what we have to remember is that machine understand numbers. Machine doesn't understand letters, alphabets, right? Now, language is all about letters and alphabets, and the machine is not able to understand. So there has to be a rule by which I can convert my text into relevant numbers. That's a very, very interesting, different kind of a thing. Okay. So how do I make him understand sentences in the form of numbers and respond accordingly? So that is the purpose. And in that, we first come down to a process which is called as normalization, text normalization. Right? Now, this normalization process talks about a few steps that we do this in order to get my text normalized. Now, what is a normalized form? It's actually called as the standard form or canonical form, as the term says. And it just attempts to reduce a basic randomness in it, in the sentence. You remove the extra punctuations, the extra spaces, you remove uh, these things like, okay, full stop, and then you have a capital letter. So somewhere capital, somewhere small, we remove all that. So we try to get it to a normal standard form with very, very important things in place, and things which are not really adding to the meaning, we remove them, right? So that's the thing which we want to do. I've given some examples also here, that what all we intend to do, but let's get down to the step, and there we will talk about these things in detail. So my text normalization steps include: number one, sentence segmentation; next, tokenization; third, removing stop words, special characters and numbers; fourth, converting text to common case; and fifth, stemming or lemmatization. Out of these two, any one process is involved. That's why I'm writing a or here. Okay, so these are the steps. All terms are new to me. I don't understand any. So we'll go step by step understanding the things. Okay, every term can be asked as a question in the subject. What is sentence segmentation? Explain with an example. What is tokenization? What is stemming? What is lemmatization? Differentiate between stemming and lemmatization with an example. Again, because this is part of your second term syllabus, all subjective questions can be asked from this portion. Okay. And of course, what are the normalization steps? That is definitely there. Okay. So let's start with the first one, sentence segmentation. What are the basic English meaning of segmentation? Dividing. Segments may create, segments may divide karo. That's the basic understanding of the thing, segmentation. Okay. Now here we use another term that's called the corpus. Corpus is basically the entire data with which a machine is currently dealing with. Your entire document, your entire set of documents, single or multiple, that is the corpus. Okay, it's also a technical term being used. Instead of saying documents, they call it a corpus. That the entire text which I'm referring to, that is basically my corpus. So now sentence segmentation is a very simple process. What does it do? It takes your entire text. There's an example here. It takes your entire text and divides it into sentences. Sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3, sentence 4, like that. Simple. Divides the data into sentences. Okay. So you can see here that like here you got 2 sentences divided by a full stop. So hence in the sentence segmentation output, I'm getting 2 sentences, 2 segments, number 1 and number 2. In CBT, we learn to decipher the lies we are undermining ourselves with based on the bias apparent or the things we say. Okay, that's the first sentence and then followed by the second one. So segmentation simply divides your entire corpus into sentences and nothing but that. Next is tokenization. Now in tokenization, what it does, it takes every sentence ka every word. You can see in CBT, comma, we learn to decipher the lies. So every sentence, every word of the sentence is a single token for it. A single token for it. Can you see that? Every word is taken up into different tokens. Okay, that's the next step, which is tokenization. Now, if anybody remembers, when we did the Python thing initially, we did tokens there also. Rather, I should not say Python, but any programming language, we do talk about tokens. Anybody remembers? Anyone? That what exactly were tokens when we discussed that? Okay. See, tokens there when we discussed, we were saying that what is the smallest unit of the program? Because there the tokens were talking about that a situation where the compiler would divide your program into tokens and then try to understand every token. And if he is able to understand, that is taken up as correct. If he is not able to understand something, that goes out as error. So tokenization is not something which we are talking about just here. Any programming language, anywhere you tries to understand something, he would do tokenization. Why? Because he would take up every element of that text or program or whatever, and then divide them into separate tokens. That okay. Like if I talk about my Python tokens, I would say that these are my variables, these are my user text, this is my functions, these are my punctuators, these are my operators, these are my operands. Remember, we did that in data handling of Python. Okay. So similarly, here also tokenization will just simply take up every word of the, you can say, segmented text or my corpus. Even comma is a token for it. This dash is a token for it. This full stop is a token for it. Everything is converted to tokens. That is my tokenization. Simple. Next step. We remove the unimportant words, special characters, any kind of numbers which are not really adding to the meaning of the sentence. Okay, we try to remove those things like these words which we see and are, as, for, it, is, into, all these, like all your conjunctions, articles, all these kind of words which does not really add to the meaning. You know, an apple a day keeps a doctor away. If I take out that "an," it doesn't really matter to my meaning of the sentence. Apple keeps a doctor away. That's okay. But as a rule, I have to write "an." That's a different issue. But that "an" is not adding to the meaning. So he ignores those things. And these kind of words are called as stop words, which do not add to the meaning of the sentence. Okay. So those stop words are identified and removed. So, you know, you can see these, it's kept the same shape. That means these are the words of the corpus, which were looking like my tokens. and I have identified the words which are my stop words or special characters out of it, that comma and dot and all that. And then I am removing that. So they have just kept the same shape as they kept it for the token, so that you can correlate that, okay, I've identified these tokens as my stop words, and now I remove it from my corpus. Okay, so I remove them, right? Numbers also. Now, in certain cases, if like it's a banking application where somebody is applying for loan or asking about loan or something like that. Now, there those numbers are very important. That how much amount is he depositing, or how many years he's talking about. So there, if you remove the numbers, then that thing is left. Okay. So depending upon what kind of, if I take an example of a chatbot, in that aspect, I'm saying. So depending upon what kind of situation that chatbox is working, you have to see that what you want to keep and what you want to remove. It's not essential that yes, I have to remove all the numbers, because certain places my numbers are important. Okay, so the system will see. I mean, we have to, when we develop the algorithm, we have to see that what kind of a situation I'm talking about, and there what is the relevance of these numbers. If the numbers are important, then they remain as tokens for us, because the machine should read that number and understand that, okay, he's talking about this number as the depositing amount, right? Or his age. Somewhere it's something else where we are talking about the age. So that number is important. I cannot really remove it. That's why we have, specified a point here. We also check for the numbers. Depending upon what kind of system we want to develop, we see for the relevance of this, whether it's relevant or not. Okay. So I segmented the corpus. I tokenized it. I removed the things which are unimportant. I'm just generalizing the thing. Okay. I removed what all is unimportant. After doing so, I come to the next step, which is converting my text to a common case. Generally, the whole text is converted to lowercase, preferably. So all you can see, this is a beautifully explained thing, that suppose hello is the word. System is not bothered whether you're writing hello in capitals or some letters in capitals or sentence case where H is capital, rest is small. Because again, this doesn't affect the meaning, but it can confuse the system when he is trying to decipher the meaning, because he might take every word as a separate word and confuse himself. So we do not want that. The system will convert all the similar looking words, similar spelt words, you can say, into a common case, so that he knows, okay, all these words mean the same word, hello. Fine. So that's the next step he does, converting it into a common case. Now comes a very, very interesting thing, stemming or lemmatization. I mean, I don't know how, they developed these terms. I didn't do a research of that. Maybe these are terms literally meaning something as such. But here, stemming or lemmatization is very interesting thing. What do they do is that they try to remove the affixes, what do you say? The letters I add to a word in English to make it present continuous, past perfect. I convert superlative, right? You can see that healed. The root word, the main word is heal here, right? Ed has been added to make it a past tense. Healing, a present continuous. Healer, to make it a noun. Something. So the root word is something different. Affixes are being added to make the uh, different situations applicable. The word, making the word applicable to different situations. Correct. So in the stemming process, what he does, the system will do is he's going to remove all the affixes and get the root word. That root word is also called as my stem. Okay. Now in this process of stemming, we see here that I've got a word when it is studies as studi. Now studi is not a meaningful word. It's not a correct word as per spelling. Okay. So that's the problem with stemming, though it is faster because he just simply remove the affixes and get you the root word. He will not check the meaning of the word. He will not see whether that word is a correct English word or not. Okay. He will just remove the affixes and get the root word. He will not check the meaning. But lemmatization is intelligent. He will go a little slow. He'll extract every root word, which is also called as lemma here, and try to check whether the word has a meaning or not, and then convert that word into a meaningful word, the nearest meaningful word. Okay. Hence, when lemmatization is applied to the studies, I am able to extract the word study and not studi. Okay. But because it's going to take time taking the word and searching for its meaning and trying to rectify that word, it is a slower process. But where it is important to be done, it has to be done. Whether fast or slow, we can't really avoid it. Okay. So lemmatization is definitely better because all lemmas which you get, all root words which you get, all stem words which you are getting, they are relevant, meaningful words. Okay. Yeah, we will not cover all these as stems. When I'm doing lemmatization, I'll call them as lemma. Lemma. Right? So doing all these 6 steps, I have standardized my sentence. I have converted my text into a standard form, canonical form. That is what text normalization is all about. Okay. Now, understanding the text normalization, I will be using this text normalization as one of the steps in the bag of words algorithm. That's the next thing which my machine will do. See, after doing text normalization, still I am not reached a point where I am talking about converting my words into numbers. That I'm not done. I have just taken up my text and converted it to a standardized text only. I have not been able to convert it into a number, which is the main work I want to do. Okay. Now for that, the systems have been developed. It's called the bag of words algorithm, which does this work for us. That's also a very, very interesting process. We would never think of somebody, working with the words and getting an output like this. But this I don't do today. I'll do that tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Friday. Okay, we meet on Friday next. But I will post this particular PPT because it's ready. And this completes the entire NLP required. Maybe few more examples we have to do questions based on. Otherwise, the process have been put into it. So go through it. Because again, these steps have to be kept in mind. If not now, for second term, yes. So just go through it and see whether you understand every word of it or not. That's the only requirement as of now. Okay. So I close it and we go for the attendance as of now.